Hello, welcome back to school and back to routine. On top of that, welcome to another episode of the Truth About Real Estate Investing show, where we're here on this journey together for the most efficient path to our financial goals. I believe the same for investing, that we all have different goals, hence no different than like fitness. In my experience with investing and having 500 clients, including 45 self-made millionaire investor clients, the speed and efficiency one can arrive at their goal can improve with education. What this downturn in the market has shown me is how sadly many made uneducated decisions around cash flow management, renovations, speculative purchases, and being over leveraged. It's really sad out there. Fortunately, that's not our clients' experience. And just speaking to other stories I'm hearing about from other groups, the current market will sadly flush out the weaker investors and investments. While in my experience, we're hearing from our clients they are ready to buy and getting ready to buy in this dip. Just this past weekend at the IWIN meeting, I was sharing an MLS listing how this is the first time I can recall in a really long time where the pictures in the listing show a property in the middle of a renovation. For example, the kitchen is no longer there. These previous kitchens been taken out, so you just see patched drywall. And the bathroom, for example, there's no toilet. The walls haven't been painted yet. The tile shower has not been grouted yet. So, and then for some context, unfortunately, the seller purchased earlier in the spring near the peak, and they're renovating. And looks like they ran out of money. So now they're actually listing the property for a couple $100,000 less than they purchased it for. So these are not my clients. But yeah, unfortunately, like I mentioned, some of the weaker investors will be flushed out in this market. It's really sad. For ourselves, though, we don't know if our timing is going to be perfect. We have no idea. But from the research, from doing a lot of reading, this could be 2008 all over again. I don't think this will be as bad as 2008. But in real estate, this could be the best buying opportunity of our generation. Only time will tell. My crystal ball is as good as yours. On a personal note, I'm trying something new with my morning routine. I'm sharing in case this helps anyone. I'm coming into their office early before anyone else does while it's quiet to get my non-urgent, important work done. For example, I'm recording this podcast. I completed a new book I'm writing. I've been prepping for all these presentations I have to give, including the IWIN meeting that just passed on September 17th. I had to work on a condensed economic update, which will form part of my presentation for the November 12th Wealth Hacker Conference. Been uncovering some really interesting stuff. I think I actually caught our government in some lies that are published on their own website, and I'll be sharing these sorts of things at the Wealth Hacker Conference. For those who don't know, the conference is a summary of Cherry and I's journey as entrepreneurs and investors to the present. When I first started, I used to be all about making tons of money. Before I owned a couple properties, I actually had a goal of having a 100 property portfolio, but my ambitions have since tempered. After I got married and had kids, priorities changed. But we are always looking for efficient means to grow our businesses, our investment portfolio, and add to our cash flow streams. Hence, we have leading experts on all the topics that you, the listener, are interested. Plus, I'm personally interested in. We have someone who retired from stock investing. He's a faculty member of Stock Hacker Academy, and Derek Foster. We have a cryptocurrency expert coming on, but also we have Jesse Itzler, because he's at a point where he's all about balance. Jesse Itzler is worth over 200 million, so he's very, very rich. But once you achieve a certain point of wealth and success, focus tends to change towards balancing happiness, raising your kids, time with your parents, because our parents won't be here forever. I think we all know that. Cherry's talk will focus more on cash flow management, as it's a subject that's extremely important in this current market and will likely save many small businesses and real estate investors from losing their shirts, and actually probably help some into prosperity as well. But yeah, many small businesses and real estate investors lost their shirts in the last 2.5 years. Again, that's not our client's experience. This is what we're seeing out there in the community. So that's the IQ side. On the EQ, or emotional quotient side, it's been too long since our community of investors has been together. I literally almost shed tears at Seth's multifamily conference in May, as I haven't seen so many of you for 2 or more years. Thankfully, I get invited to some of these smaller private in-person events, but that's hardly inclusive. Like these smaller events might be 30 people at the most. Usually they're more like 2, 3, 5. But here's an invite to be more inclusive to our wider community. And based on who's already bought tickets and our sponsors, pretty much all the who's going to be there. If you're from out of town, please start making your plans for the road trip now. Like, plan a road trip. Like, connect with others in your community, in your local community. For example, my friends from Ottawa, it's going to be a pretty large contingent who are all some are going to carpool and, just do the journey together. Meet up at the Big Apple together. Keep that conversation going around real estate and whatever else you're interested in building wealth. Speaking of road trips, I drove our Model Y Tesla 2 hours north for a golf tournament. Just a buddy's golf tournament. Thank goodness it was best ball, as I was more terrible than usual, having not swung a club for over 2 weeks. Joining me on that road trip was good friends Hussein Kudrati, the real estate lawyer, and Kevin Hayun of Empire Mortgages. From my experience at Iwin Real Estate, we're seeing the best deals I can recall over the last 12 months. But I like lots of data. So Kevin and Hussein, being in the same industry as us, they share their experience, and they're also seeing great deals. We are seeing some even mentioned they're seeing prices back from like 2019. There are some sellers who are that motivated. They're willing to give up the appreciation from the last 3 years. Yes, the real estate market could continue to decline as fear is at a high. But right now we're not seeing much competition from regular home buyers. It's the more ambitious types like investors who are ready to get in earlier. Again, I think the market will continue going down. But again, I could be wrong. No one has a crystal ball. If we are, of course, in evaluating deals, being more conservative with our cash flow forecasts, we're stress testing higher interest rates and expecting longer lead times for permits and renovations. Right. On the positive, I'm hearing is that with so many big players postponing projects, like big players, like condo developers, there'll be more contractors available for work. Actually, that came out in the last unemployment report when August's unemployment number came out at 5.4. The largest industry for lost jobs was actually construction. So unfortunate for them, fortunate for us that we might have more labor available to do our own renos. How long does that last? I doubt for very long. Maybe 12 months, but we will see. On to this week's show. Our guest, Andrew Hines, I believe leads little to no introduction. He graduated from one of the top business schools in Canada, based on my biased opinion of also graduating from the same school. Andrew is one of the good ones that's out there, having shared his losses early on investing in Ohio, early on in his investor journey. He's since built townhouse complexes. He's invested in high-end student rentals. He's focused on diversification by developing and building in Florida, plus a startup 90-acre high-end glamping campground. Of course, I think most of you know Andrew from having one of the top podcasts in the Canadian real estate investor space. We, of course, talk economics. We talk about where the market's going, when and where Andrew thinks there will be opportunities. So have those pens and notepads ready. This is a good one. Please enjoy the show. Andrew, thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
What's getting you busy these days?
A lot of things. My baby boy, number 1, 8 months old. Well, almost 9 now. So yeah, that's been a change, we'll say. And we've got lots happened actually since the last time I was on here. I think it's been a couple of years now.
Like that long?
I think it was start of 2021.
Okay.
So anyways, yeah, we headed down to Florida since then, and got into investing down there, and also picked up a campground, and that's had a lot of learning experiences incled,
right?
And been something I think we'll probably talk a little bit more about today. And
we'll definitely talk about both those things. Just so we're clear that they're mutually exclusive. The campground's not in Florida.
No. Campground's Tobermory, and then the Florida's an entirely different endeavor. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just those two items keep coming up in our community. Florida, generally U.S. investing. Florida seems to be by far the most popular destination for U.S. investing, and recreational short-term rental is like crazy hot right now.
Big, yeah. So I don't take any credit for the short-term rental side of things. With the Florida side of things, I feel like this always happens to me. Anytime I talk about something a lot, a whole bunch of investors end up in the same area. So I used to talk about Welland all the time, and then all of a sudden Welland exploded. And I was, early on, I'm like, there's no way I could have any impact on these things. But and I'm not tooting my own horn, but when enough investors, because it doesn't take that many to drive prices up in a market or to create a little bit of a movement towards a market. So I started talking about Cape Coral last year, and now I actually have like a little community of people I know. So, other people thought, we're going to get into Florida. Hey, we're looking at St. Petersburg. We're looking at Tampa, Sarasota. And, Andrew, how do the numbers work where you are? And then I tell them the numbers are like, okay, we're coming down there. So it's funny, community is really what it comes to. It's not me per se, but the community, like people talk to each other, and the word gets out when there's things that make sense. And I think Southwest Florida, when we can dive into the numbers or what have you, makes a ton of sense, and a lot of the economics of it made a ton of sense. So I think when you have something like that, all it takes is some chatter, and people flock to it.
It's gonna be. We would talk forever on how you got to Florida. We'll touch on some of the things. We can't spend the whole time
for sure.
Tax and the
high level. We can go over all of it. I mean, I think it's not for the faint of heart. No one's going to go invest internationally, if they weren't compelled for a very sincere reason to do so.
All right, you just said a mouthful. First thing that caught my attention is, I don't mean to put words in your mouth, but how glad are you that you started a lot of this stuff before you had your first child?
I wish I'd done so much more.
Because the funny thing is, in my experience, like for example, the majority of our clients, they don't start investing in real estate till their kids are a bit older, like 8, 9 years old, or in high school, or off to university.
I feel like that'd be easier. Yeah, I mean, with a newborn, I mean, like. I say this to people because I had no idea. I thought everyone was being dramatic when they would tell me the horror stories. Tell me the horror stories of having a kid and how, you'll have no time. Enjoy your sleep while you can. I'm like, you're being dramatic. Could you stop? Let's just take it easy. No, like the old me's dead, and this is like a new version. And Jordan and I say the same thing. Like the old us died, and now we have the current version. Which, I mean, love him. He's so much fun. We just had to accept that that life doesn't exist anymore, and now it's Andrew and Jordan 2.0, and but we're changing in a positive way. Like I mean, speaking for myself, like just really reaching out to people, really getting help, building my team. Like these are things that I could coast by before and not do these things. It became a make or break scenario. Like I had to do it or I was done.
Okay. So I apologize for the hardcore real estate nerds like myself who are listening, because they're like probably dying to get into Florida and campground investing.
Sure, yeah.
But remember, you and I used to golf a lot together.
Yeah,
almost every week.
Almost every week, yeah.
And then for example, when someone can't make a tee time, like they cancel the last minute, the first people I'm calling are people like yourself, who the old you, the dead you, the single you, the people who didn't have kids,
the pre-kids.
Are usually the first people I call.
Yeah.
So I'd be calling people like you, like Charles, like Steve Ford before he had a kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yo, we need a fourth. Like I'm there. That's the now dead you, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I think that there's room for that to come back, but I think, as you know, like having a nanny, like we had a nanny over the summer. She's left now. We're trying to sort that out again, and just everything in between a personal assistant and a nanny, and building out my team with my businesses. Like those are all things that can maybe help me get back on the golf course a little more often. So right. Looking forward to that, because my game sure did suffer this year.
And that's actually you're just sharing now with your journey and now being a father is a wonderful analogy for just life and business in general. You can't do it by yourself.
No. Right. You can fool yourself for a while, which I did. And I did have some help, but I didn't have the kind of help I needed. And you hit that breaking point. Like I think we all acknowledge procrastination is sort of a signal. Like I must be doing something wrong if I'm procrastinating on this. It's like, your body, your mind's telling you, you gotta adjust here. And I think the next stage is like this point of despair where it's just like, well, what's the point? I have no hope of catching up on all the stuff I have to do, which I was sort of getting to. Even before we had the baby. So then baby comes along, I'm like, wow, okay, well, things have to change. There's no way they could stay the same, which I think was a really positive thing. So I can thank my son for that when he's a little older and can understand. But that helped me, push along. And, I hired my full-time video editor, full-time assistant, both of them in March. And I've brought on an operations manager for my construction company. I'm now using a general contractor in Florida. These are things I wouldn't have done before. I would have general contracted it myself, try to do everything and then, burn out. And you can't grow that way. And I think even with our campground, which we'll talk about more, like the team building, the amount of people that are in that organization, the amount of help, and that's been a learning experience, seeing just what can be outsourced and how, if you set the pieces up right, things can manage themselves. You have to have oversight, but you don't need to be involved on a day-to-day.
Right. Okay, so I hope people are taking notes because you said a lot of really important points. Oversight. And then you didn't mention it, but I know you're good at math.
Yeah, I like back of the envelope, simple math, right? Things need to make simple sense.
Yeah. And so you're managing your numbers, which is a great... So while you're scaling up, so this is actually a really good segue as we get into real estate. While you're scaling up, you're still watching everything. And I think that's been something that's been missed by a lot of investors that we were talking about before we were recording, is many people missed on their numbers. And I'm talking about like over leverage, for example.
Yeah, for sure.
Over leverage, buying on the way up, paying too much interest. Well,
a lot of people aren't cognizant of the ability to lose, right? I lost back in 2012. I think a lot of people, pie in the sky, like, hey, look how good I'm doing. But the market was doing good. It wasn't necessarily you that did good. I always took a very clear look back at my projects and said, well, if the market hadn't gone up while I was doing that deal, would I still have been happy with that deal? Would I still have made money? And the answer wasn't always yes. But the market saved me, just like it saved a lot of people. And I've spent a lot of time pondering these things. I slowed down on my investing come like 2017 because the numbers started making less sense to me around here. And that's when I started thinking, well, we'll wait for this market to kind of cool off. But then it was obviously taking too long. So I started looking, okay, well, maybe Florida, maybe there's other markets I can look at. Didn't really want to go up to Sudbury. And I was kind of battling my own challenges with no time. So was I going to take on distance investing when I wasn't really, delegating properly? So people, long way of saying, people weren't really focusing on the fact that the deals didn't really make as much sense anymore. They were counting on things to go up. They were counting on being able to have break-even cash flow and low interest rates forever. Which was never really that reasonable. So I was, for me, I was thinking, let's go find markets that haven't been going up by like crazy amounts, where the numbers are close to working, and see what we can do. And that sort of led me to Florida, and then also into the Airbnb side of things, where, you've got stuff that can generate a lot more than a typical rental. Okay.
Apologies, going to put a bit of a caution on this. I think for newbies, they need to focus on something preferably closer to home.
For sure. Like, put it this way, like to hire a GC is a huge risk, I think, across the board. Most new investors who hire a general contractor are probably going to get burned in some way because you don't know how to ask the right questions. You don't know how to vet these people. And you probably are a little bit optimistic and want to trust when you shouldn't. I think that's something that people do. I did it early on. I wanted to trust the property manager I worked with in Ohio back in 2012. And the guy stole my money. He took my money, allowed my house to be destroyed. Just and did it in a way where he acted like the victim, like, hey, we're just doing our thing, like getting things done. I'm like, yeah, but how about that money you have? Oh yeah, I can send that to you. It was one of those, oh, I'll send that to you. Yeah, no problem. Call him again the next week. Can you send that to me? He owed me like thousands and thousands of dollars. And he said, yeah, I'll send it right over. Never sent it. And eventually after like months and months of that, I'm like, oh, this guy's actually just screwing me and pretending that he's going to pay me, like keeping things positive. I'd never witnessed that, service with a smile, we'll call it, or disservice with a smile. So I saw what people are capable of, and I've seen it in the contracting world. Like, people are capable of some pretty nasty stuff. And to place your trust in a general contractor, knowing that I would say there's a good number of them out there that are willing to take all your money and not do a good job, and that's totally fine with them. I really started to focus on, how do I find people who would have something to lose if they treated me that way? The old way was, I'll do so much business with you, I'll make them want to treat me well because they know I'm going to do business with them long term. And the newer way was like, coming into Florida, this is too new. I don't know anybody here. I'm not even from here. I am assuming most contractors' dollar signs light up in their eyes when they see somebody in that situation. Fortunately, I was coming in with some good experience and lessons learned. So I went to the RIA in Fort Myers, Florida, so on the Gulf Coast, which is right next to Cape Coral, where I ultimately decided to invest. And I wanted to find a community, because I think community is so important. So then all of a sudden I'm speaking with people who have been in this RIA for 10 years, and everybody talks. In the investing world, everybody talks. So if you've got people who are doing good business in that, and they've been able to do joint ventures for 10 plus years, and nobody's talking trash about them, they're still coming to meetings. Now all of a sudden I think I've got a much better starting point to start interacting with people, because they've got something to lose. And that's the big thing. When I go to new markets now, I'm looking for, do these people have something to lose if they do something sideways? And new investors don't think like that, because new investors just want to trust that, hey, this GC says they can do this. People talk. People promise. I would say in the contracting business, 99% of promises are not fulfilled on time anyway. They might be fulfilled, but they're not fulfilled on time. We'll have a forming contractor tell us, oh, we'll be there on Friday, don't show up. Oh, okay, something came up, we'll be there on Tuesday, they don't show up. Thursday's the day. Thursday happens. Oh, well, we're all off today. Well, hang on, you said you'd be here on Thursday, you're on vacation? That type of thing happens, and without experience, people just don't know that this is coming.
And didn't budget for it.
So, it started with the student rentals. For me to GC my own stuff, I only had 2 to 4 months to do an entire renovation with an addition. And, getting anything done in 4 months with a general contractor is almost unthinkable. So we would do, partial guts, build an addition, enclose it, and have students move in within a 4-month period. And so getting into that, that's why I had to GC. I wouldn't have been able to do those projects otherwise. And still to this day, I don't think I could have done them in the time frame we did, unless I had my own employees working for me full time doing my own work. And some subs, but at that time I had probably 50% internal workforce, and then 50% subbed.
I know you mentioned before. Can you share how many employees you had at that time? Or
I've had up to like four or five. Like main carpenter, site super, a couple of general laborers, right, and then another site super on a different site. Now I'm about to have 2. And then I have subcontracted. My assistant is subcontracted. My video editor is subcontracted, but they are full time for me.
Got it.
Yeah.
So, but you had 4 or 5 employees on the tools.
Probably 3 on the tools plus subs. Yeah.
Got it. And that it's I think there's more interesting to talk about here. Just want to end the point with generally people who scale have in-house staff.
In-house staff is so critical, yeah.
To keep the cost under control and schedule on control?
It's tough, though, because then you'll also see people who make a really good relationship with a general contractor and crush a lot of business.
Yeah.
But you got to acknowledge that general contractor is making a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're building in a profit margin for themselves. And if that works for you and it works for them, great. In a market that's going up in value constantly, that tends to work better. In this current market, I think we're going to see more people shift to this model with, hiring your own staff, keeping them busy. Like Matt Pichet is a good example. He's got his own full-time crew that works on all his projects. So he knows people aren't going to say, hey, yeah, we'll be there tomorrow. No, you're there today or you're not getting paid. So that's very different in the employee relationship. That's why things get done fast, because downtime is huge. Like you've got, between one trade and the next, people say, hey, I'll be there on Monday. Well, you say, well, this trade's finishing up Friday, so you be here Monday. They say Monday, but then they don't show up until Wednesday. Now you've got 2 more days that the house was just sitting. If it's your own employees and they're capable, now all of a sudden you're moving a lot faster, less interest payments. However, of course, the issue is you need to have enough business to keep these people busy.
Yeah, and people didn't understand that.
Yeah,
like I think we both literally know people who will take on projects just to keep their staff busy.
Yeah, I think
it's a bit risky, but
I think Matt's actually offering his services out to other people because I think he kind of scaled down a bit of his operation. So now he's actually contracting for other people now, keep his people busy until things kind of come back around. Which, I mean, that's another discussion we could have when where's the bottom? Where's the bottom? If they keep raising interest rates, we're not going to find that bottom for quite some time.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But anyway, so in the meantime, he knows he's got good people. He wants to keep them busy. Yeah. Smart.
No, he's a smart guy. You need to have him back on the pod. Matt, if you're listening, which you're not.
He's absolutely not listening, but somebody can tell somebody who'll tell Matt. Yeah, definitely. He's always a great conversation.
But again, it's smart. Like there's lots of people who still need contractors, and actually, it's a part of a bigger story. Is people who do renovations, they're still in short supply, even though there's all these projects. Like for example, we're talking about Matt.
Yeah.
He's pausing his own investing.
Yeah.
To service other people as a contractor, right? And so my point is, contractors are still busy, even though there's tons of projects being put on hold or not even happening.
Well, a lot of people are mid-project, and I think what we're really going to see is it's going to take like a year before you start to see a lot of developers didn't do a new start. Like they had something that was early in the stages, and they just decided, hey, we're ready to go for permits, but let's just wait.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a very common thing to see in the next couple of years, unless these interest rate hikes level off or start to reverse, because building expense has not gone down.
Exactly.
Not yet anyway. Maybe
Between
will.
Material and labor.
Yeah, material and labor. I mean, maybe we'll see once, a bunch of people get laid off. Now you've got all of a sudden more supply relative to your demand, and maybe now we start to see it's easier to get a contractor. It's easier to get employees.
Right.
And
that'd be awesome.
That'd be kind of cool. Yeah. I mean,
I wouldn't mind starting to do some flipping soon.
Well, I mean, we're getting to a point like this whole market's changing, and now there's a lot of people who will cry over the spilled milk and the money that they've in their head, unrealized losses, versus looking at, holy crap, what an opportunity to buy a whole bunch of cheap real estate and cost average and do really well. Yes, the interest rates are higher, but the prices are going to come down relative, and rents are on their way up. So there's a huge opportunity coming. And one that I don't think we'll pretty much ever see again in our lifetime, which I think real estate's going on the other side of all this. The next boom period is going to take real estate out of the reach of the average Canadian completely.
I'm glad you say it, because when I say it, I don't believe it.
I 100% think that. You already look at affordability. People can't afford, even their gas bills anymore. Like, we're going to a renter state, and do you want to be the owner or do you want to be a renter? Like, build up your rentals. Now, the challenge will be for anybody buying something fundamental that can weather the storm. The interest rates can survive a 10% interest rate, because it seems like that's the direction we're heading. I mean, to undo the damage they've done with all this money printing and the fact that they're still printing it, when will be the right level of interest rate hikes? I didn't think they would go this far. I didn't think that they were willing to do something so ruthless when they were so generous before. Oh, here, take CERB, do all this. We just want to protect you. We'll drop interest rates.
We'll have appraisals that don't come in because they shouldn't come in.
It's just crazy how they just flicked a switch, and now they're now we're going to be responsible. Right. Like, there's literally that quote of Justin Trudeau saying, "You'll forgive me if I don't think about fiscal policy." Like, exact quote. You'll forgive me. He laughs. You'll forgive me if I don't think about fiscal policy. We're going very much the other way now. So who knows where we go, how far down it goes. But I think that there's never a right or wrong time. Well, there's probably a wrong time, but there's no right time to buy in this process. I think it has to be fundamentals. You're going to find, even if the market average is, at point A, you could still buy something significantly below average for a number that makes a lot of sense, will cash flow even if rates go up further. I think that's where people's heads need to be at.
The sad thing, though, is that the investments that our clients are transacting on take a lot of capital. Like, for example, the opportunity that we're seeing that we've almost never seen, is single family to triplex conversion opportunities. That takes a lot of capital.
Tons.
Exactly. That takes a ton of capital.
Yeah.
So that's kind of sad. The best opportunities are for those who have deeper pockets. People who prepare.
Deeper pockets can raise the money. Yeah, more experience for sure, able to do those projects. But I mean, to go in, take all that time, especially when it's so hard to get contractors. Now you're looking at a project like that, a year turnaround probably. And in a year, where's that value going to be? I mean, I think we can reasonably assume the rents will be pretty good. but will that work for, if you have to leave a few $100,000 in the deal, is that okay? I think for lots of people it is, especially in our networks, but there's a lot of people that eliminates from that game.
Thankfully, we're looking at some, for example, where they have garages, 2-car garages that are already hooked up for utilities. So we're like, we never saw these opportunities like 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Or like there'd be like 50 offers on them.
Yeah.
I'm exaggerating. It'd be like 6 to 12 to 18 offers. But again, it takes a deep pocket investor to be able to do these things, which is kind of sad because I'm always pushing for the little guy. I want to see the little guy.
The newbies. Yeah, when people
because the newbie ain't buying a campground.
Yeah. I don't think there is an easy way to start from scratch. I mean, like, I know a lot of people have listened to the podcast, and when things were going up, that worked. But now I feel like getting in and working for somebody, like, just get into the industry somehow, even part-time work outside of your full-time job. If you can volunteer, come work for somebody like you and get coffee and just learn.
Or buddy up.
Yeah, buddy up.
Buddy. Split everything. Split the mortgage. Split the work.
Yeah.
Right. I ain't going to Winnipeg. I ain't going to Saskatoon to invest.
Yeah, that's always how I felt. I didn't want to do the distance. I mean, of course, Florida. But I kind of want to go there. I want to go down there. So I'm looking for excuses. So that's that kind of works. But and Tobermory too.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're saying too many things because we're going in different directions.
Too many notes.
Too many opportunities for learning here. Let's start with Florida because you mentioned it first.
Yeah.
Because I've seen your numbers. I can't believe how cheap land is. Let's start off with there. Why is the land so cheap?
It's not as cheap as it was when I started.
Well, yeah.
So May 2021. Things tend to go up. I started, I don't know when I started buying. I think it was right around end of May 2021. I started closing on lots, and they were like anywhere from 23,000 up to 31,000 US. This is all US figures. Now lots are closer to like 45 in the areas that I've been looking. And
even with everything's coming down. Oh yeah.
The
Florida market's strong.
Yeah, I mean, because Northport and Fort Myers are in the top 10, two of the top 10 fastest growing cities in the U.S. So that area, like, although the interest rate pressure is, obviously to bring values down, the in-migration is pushing it the other way. So that market hasn't been hit like Ontario has.
Right.
So
just to add to that, the insider information I'm getting is a lot of people bringing cash.
Tons of cash. Yeah, 50% was, as of the last RIA meeting I went to, it was 50% cash investors. I don't know what it is now, but like over this boom period, 50% cash investors.
Well, people sold.
Or cash buyers, sorry. And that means something different in the US in general, because when you say I'm buying cash, you can't go get a mortgage. Like, you can't actually close with a mortgage. Whereas here, you just don't put their financing clause in, and then you can still add a mortgage. Yeah. They don't do that there.
If they have the cash, but it could be in Canadian context is often I have the financial means.
Yeah. When you say it's a cash offer, I have the financial means. Yes. US, it means I'm closing cash.
Yeah, it's literally cash.
Yeah, literally cash. Yeah. So their real estate board was saying 50% cash. So yeah, that's big. A lot of money coming in there.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And the biggest thing was relative price point. We talk about the lots were cheap. Well, the houses were cheap too, compared to here. Like, if you think about what you get comparatively, and I just looked at that, and we love Naples, which is about 50 minutes away. And we spent a lot of time there for the last 7-8 years. Every winter we're down there. And so, I started going to the RIAs just to see what was going on. I saw people flipping and doing things for low margin, and I'm like, I'm just not going to do that at a distance. That's not my skill set, and with my available time. Yeah. Not going to do that.
Outside your risk tolerance.
Yeah, and but then I heard a guy that I ended up partnering on a deal with, Dave. He was speaking on stage. He's like, hey, I build new construction, and here are our numbers, and the numbers didn't look fantastic, but they looked decent. And I just looked at what was the completed product, what it could be built for. I'm like, I need to get a foot in the door with construction down here. And so I used it as an opportunity. I funded the deal. I actually completely self-funded the entire deal at this point. No mortgage so far, and I don't think we're going to, because it just didn't work out that way. But it was an opportunity. He introduced me to the builder. I said, hey, you know what? I'm going to have to do this on my own too. So I am going to be dealing with Sherry, who he introduced me to. And we're going to build more together, and I'm treating this as part of a business strategy that I'm building out in Florida. Is that cool with you? He said, yes, that's cool. We have a great relationship, he and I still use him as my realtor down there when I'm looking for stuff, buying stuff, asking him what I should build. Hey, what should I build, Dave? What's going to sell well? So he's available for all that stuff, and that's gone really well. So I kind of lost track of what direction we were going with this. So feel free to direct me on what you want to know.
Ideas of what you're investing in,
like
square footage, cost per square foot.
So the first one I'm building, which we're drywalled now, pool is dug. We're going to be done.
You built the rent. Hey, wait, are you renting it out? You're going to rent it out?
This one I'm going to sell.
Yeah,
first one's for sale. Yeah, spec build, flip.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, just for the listeners' benefit, spec build is when you build it first and then you sell it.
Yeah, exactly. So I guess I'm technically more of a developer on the deal than the builder because I've hired a builder, although you could call me the builder because I own the lot. So I hired the GC and they did all the permitting, everything. I spent a lot of time, obviously, getting to know what their operation and all that. But also Dave helped with that, creating the connection. And so we've got 1,880 square foot plus a 3-car garage. It's 4-bed, 2-bath. There's also an outdoor kitchen. There's about a 250 square foot area for the outdoor kitchen on the patio. And then there's a covered lanai. So that's a covered patio, but then there's a lanai, which is not covered. It's the screened in area with a pool. And all of that, I think my all-in cost, including the lot, we're going to be around $420,000. And that one, so
you can't buy a bachelor condo in GTA for that.
So, and it wouldn't be that number anymore, but that was based on what I could buy the lot for and what my building costs were when I started. But initially, when this was a concept, we were looking at maybe $499 list price, which wouldn't have been a huge profit. Would have been a very small profit. That spec went up to $599 as of by the time I broke ground. That was what we were expecting we would list for. And now we're sort of back down to thinking we'll list it for $580, something like that at this point. Now, granted there's another 2 months, but there's a good buffer in there based on what I paid for, what I'll be into it for. So I have another one going not too far from that, within a kilometer. Or I guess mile. We'll talk miles. This is Florida, and that one is that one's even bigger, 2,150 square foot. I think 2,130 actually. Outdoor kitchen. This one also has a hot tub and 3-car garage. I'm trying to stick with 3-car garage and everything, just because envy. I want a 3-car garage, so I'll build it until I finally get one.
Okay, all kidding aside, it's an investment. You think huge. You have your investor cap on. You're
I just no matter what. Triple car garage is going to be a selling feature, right?
I just don't want people to think that they need to the way they invest is how they would want to live.
Oh yeah, no, and I am guilty of that sometimes. I do like to think of things like, hey, would I live in that? Mm-hmm. So I go after a consumer that would think similarly to me in certain ways. But yeah, I'm setting these up for families. Yeah. The big thing is the general contractor I'm working with, they had set models they were already building, and I'm working with those models. So the big benefit there is lead time's way less. They know what they're building. They order their trusses early. They order all the materials and the mechanicals they need early. Their soft costs and in the process for generating permit packages is all very simple because they've done it so many times. So I'm very much okay with that. Of course, some people want a custom house that's super unique. Yeah, that's not what I'm doing, and that would cost more and be harder to do. Yeah, this is kind of working within their parameters, but that works well for me. So I'm going to do my own things that are going to make these really awesome. For the ones that I keep to Airbnb, like the second one I was talking about, I'm keeping that. I did things that I wouldn't have done if it was just resale, like putting in the hot tub. I don't think that necessarily I'll make that back, but maybe I would.
It's supposed to be hot for vacation rentals.
Yeah, especially if you think Florida in January and February, it's not as hot at night and stuff. A hot tub would be awesome. Anytime we go to Florida in the winter, we want the hot tub. Mm-hmm. So putting that in was big, but just certain other things. I'm going to put in a bunch of palm trees in the back to just make it go for Airbnb, and I wouldn't do that if I was just selling it. So there'll be different things like that I do. So the bigger one, that one I'll be in for closer to $450, and I think the value is
your cost is $450.
Yeah. The value on that one probably somewhere around $6 or over $6. So not actually as good of a profit margin if I were to flip it, but for me, I wanted a nice big one that would work really well for Airbnb, and that'll be kind of the starting point for Airbnb down there, and then we'll go from there. But my plan is, keep one, sell one, keep one, sell one. I bought 10 lots, and just keep sort of buying. I'm going to build a few more before I buy, because maybe those lot prices come down a bit. Mm-hmm. And there's no rush. Like now they're plentifully available, whereas before they were a little harder to get. So we'll keep that moving.
So many questions. Okay. What made this location make sense for you?
Well, Gulf Coast, you got great sunsets. You're within an hour, well, probably 45 minutes from my lots to like great beaches, like Fort Myers Beach, which is like, world-class beach. And I think the Gulf Coast in Florida is just better.
Restaurants, convention centers.
Cape Coral is more of a, my friend calls it the Simcoe of Florida. Like,
purely vacation.
It's very much a value play. Like it's like bang for your buck, call it. And I think from a vacation standpoint as well, is people get to go down warm climate that's below the what do they call it, the frost line. You don't get frost down that far in Florida typically ever. And so you get all the warmth. You get to be in Southwest Florida at a price that otherwise you can't really get in Southwest Florida, especially being that close to water. Cape Coral is really unique because it's a canal city. There's canals running everywhere. Not every lot has a canal, and my lots don't. I'm avoiding that. But there's a lot of people who will have their boat right out back from their house, and
so cool.
They can take the saltwater canal through the city and get it out to the Gulf Coast. So it dumps onto a river that runs between Fort Myers and Cape Coral, and then they can go right out into the Gulf.
I'm a bit of a geek. I can't imagine the infrastructure cost to have.
It's wild. Yeah, it's a wild town. Another thing that's great about it.
Roads are expensive enough.
It is. Well, the weird thing about Cape Coral is that I feel like they thought the city was going to be so much bigger than it was back when they originally sort of organized it and put in all these roads and lots, because the whole northwest part is like very very scattered. Like there's one house on a street, and then you'll have a whole bunch of vacant lots on the other side. And every new house going in is a really nice, nice house, more expensive houses. It's a very, very up and coming area. But all throughout Cape Coral, you'll find just a vacant lot here, a vacant lot there.
Gee, not like here, eh?
Not like here. No, I think for the longest time it was fairly stagnant. People weren't really building much. That's geared up more in the last few years. And I think as values were coming up, it was kind of helping things a bit. But it's a chance to get into a place where there's no HOA, like there's no homeowners association, where when you're restricted in what you can do.
Equivalent to be a condo board, right?
Basically, yeah, similar to a land condo or like a common element condo, where they can tell you how you can use your property and what you can and can't do. So it's like an Airbnb's paradise down there, because you can actually Airbnb your property. Whereas like in Naples, say, like everything is a gated community, minus like one small pocketed area. And in all those gated communities, you can't even rent out your place. Well, not all, but some of them, you're not even allowed to rent your place out, let alone Airbnb it or long-term rental, anything like that.
Yeah, just to clarify for the listeners' benefit, these organizations determine how you can operate your property or even how you live.
Yeah, like
for example, like no pets.
You can't have the
Toronto,
trailer.
for example, no pets. Right?
You can't have a trailer in your driveway, and you can't.
Your garbage has to be put away.
Your garbage has to be put away. What color are you going to paint your house? We need to approve it before you do it. Like things like that. Like they're trying to dictate everything that you.
Because entrepreneurs love being told what to do.
Yeah. So I mean, it's like the same reason I avoid condos. I would avoid HOAs. Because condos is like there's a loud slamming coming from your door. My wife's condo. She sold it now, but the neighbors were all saying that the door kept slamming. We're like, well, there's one small problem. No one's been in the condo for 3 weeks, so this couldn't have been us. But you get into things like that with condos. So,
but all condos would do that with the negative pressure in the hallways. Like the doors always slam.
Yeah, exactly. It was just silly. It was just silliness. So just getting away from all that. You've already got the municipality telling you what you can and can't do. Let alone, let's not go there. So I really like it for those reasons. I think that there's a huge value play from an Airbnb standpoint. And then if that doesn't work, I mean, rents are being pushed up, and the price point makes a lot of sense for the actual value of the house. So I've got some exits. I can sell them. I can rent them long term. I mean, they're not going to be cash cows long term with the interest rates, but there's a play there. There's several ways
Right.
to sort of quote unquote exit it as needed if needed.
It sounds like you've taught business before.
Yeah.
All this lingo.
I don't even know.
We're not snoozing people.
I don't know. I don't know how much of it was formal education or just experience. Like going through. I think I've always been a bit of a critical thinker. Even as a kid, my mom told me she's like, yeah, I just see us sitting there just off in space thinking. And I think I've always sort of done that. Just kind of evaluate things critically, ask a lot of questions, and what would I do if?
Right.
And the negative to that is it's caused me to be very slow at taking action in recent years.
Well, think of all the condo speculators right now who are trying to figure out how to get out of their contract.
I was purely saying don't do that from the start of the podcast. I'm like, to go speculate on condos in Toronto, sure, it seems great. Grass is always greener.
Yeah.
What happens when that changes? You have no exit.
Yeah.
If you have no cash flow, imagine being in a place where you have no cash flow and it's worth less than you paid for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a lose-lose scenario.
Yeah.
One you never want to find yourself in. And so and I think that these are the discussions with the podcast that people really enjoy hearing, like breaking ideas down and saying, why is something inherently just not a great investment relative to another investment? Not to say that somebody with 1,000 properties couldn't pick up a few pre-constructions in Toronto and do really well. Mm-hmm. It's just, can you afford to lose? And will you care if you lose? Those are two important questions to ask yourself, which I think a lot of people don't. Yeah. People don't ask themselves. They would care, but they don't ask themselves that question. I want to get into a couple of condos. I see people making money. Yes, that works until it doesn't work. And some people won in spite of themselves, but it was a risky position, and it is. But for some people that makes sense, and some it doesn't. And there's no hard and fast rule like that's good, that's bad. For some, it's all relative to whoever's investing. Yeah.
And I don't want to beat up on condos.
Yeah.
But here's a current example is people with canceled condo projects, right? Versus I bought a house. I personally like to buy what I can see and touch. I don't want to buy a concept.
Yeah, I buy paper. Yeah.
I don't want. That's just me. And then, for example, I bought in 2020 versus people who bought a condo and now they can't close. Mm-hmm. So sorry, the project's canceled. So
they're just straight up canceling.
Yeah.
So pre-construction and those agreements probably gave the builder an out. We could choose not to build this, and if we do, then that's that.
So one friend, his agreement, he's going to get paid interest.
Okay. 6% on his deposits.
On his deposit, 6%. But he lost on how much equity appreciation.
Yeah.
During that time, you know what I mean?
He still would have been up if it was built.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I told we did the math. If you the builder wanted more money to close, so even with the extra money, it would have made sense.
Yeah.
But he backed out, and then I believe the term's opportunity cost. Mm-hmm. I made equity gains in my properties.
Yeah.
He's got his money back with 6% interest.
At the end of the day, though, we're all seeing our real estate values come down to a certain degree now, right?
Absolutely.
And it's the ability to not care about that that is going to be the proof of whether you were doing it right or not.
I care about everything. I have a basement rented for $1,200 right now. Damn it! I would get $1,800 a day. So I still care. But I'm not hurting.
And I don't mean care. You have to care in the sense that it adjusts your strategy, but not in the sense that you're going to lose sleep over it.
We're gently letting our doctor tenant know, hey, you said you were going to buy a place when you moved in. This will only be a short-term thing because my rent would be $800 higher if they left.
Sounds like it might be a time to do an N13 renovation in that basement.
The house is too nice. It doesn't need anything. Sorry, I digress. Any other final thoughts on Florida? So you're liking it. You think you're going to go through with all 10 lots, build and sell all of them?
I actually have one coaching student that wanted to be brought into the fold on what I was doing in Florida. So I brought him on. He's actually buying one of mine that are ready to go for permit because it's already had the survey done. So one of them will be gone. I'll keep building and, until the numbers change, why not? Where else is going to make as much sense? I guess that's rhetorical. But for me, I think that just... people are still going there. Mm-hmm. Whereas this market's going to keep dropping for quite some time. Who knows? I hope not. But in Florida, I think yes, there will be pressure downward, but it won't be hit as extremely because they only recovered their 2008 high about 2 years ago. So we've had a drastically different economic climate here in Canada than they've had there. And to them, they were screaming, "Hey, this is unsustainable. Look how high. You know, who can afford $300,000 for a house?" I'm like, "Oh, you don't know.
What you don't know." Like many Canadians have never been to Canada.
Yeah. And I'm like, coming from where I'm coming from, I have a good perspective on this. Not to say that, you know, things should be that much higher, but specifically from property managers down there, I've heard them scream, you know, how could people afford to pay more rent? I'm like, I don't know how they will, but they'll find a way. Like, it's all supply and demand. If people need a place, there will be, you know, maybe families move together and you know, two families live in one, but you're going to have it. It'll happen. And it is happening. Their rents are going up significantly. So this was conversations from a year and a half, 2 years ago that I was having.
They're getting strong, population moving in. People moving away from other parts of the country.
Families. Like, so you're going to see all kinds of new industry popping up in that area, Southwest Florida specifically, and other areas too. But I'm not really focused on the other areas.
I think most people know, if they're listening to this podcast, they generally know the world's pretty effed up in a lot of places.
Very much so.
And pretty much all of those millionaires are going to somewhere where it's not effed up. Right?
Yeah.
Less effed up.
And I don't think like the USA in general is that place, but I mean, where is that place anymore? Like, third world, maybe go to the third world, less organized.
You want to go?
I don't know.
You have a kid.
No, I don't.
Personal safety.
My wife's never going to agree to any of that.
That's the only reason.
Buy a private island, own the whole island yourself. I don't know. Like,
and I think that's the thing that is also that I still consider ourselves lucky. As messed up as things are here, and what's messed up as the world is, it's just way more messed up than the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's like a competition. Who can be more messed up? Like, everybody's fighting for it at once. Justin Trudeau ups the ante, and then Joe Biden does similar, and then here we are, right back.
They're like throwing lit matches at China. Like, geez, guys.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting world, to say the least, and it's that all, you know, I think that all contributed to my being a little bit slower to take action in the last 2 years. It's just like trying to spot where are things going, you know, what's actually going to happen. And so far, I've been right about way too much about all this in the economic direction.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see, you know, opportunity turn around. And I do think there's a lot of opportunity coming up right now.
But from the upside view, well, you're right here. You can tell me if my view is correct. You're still buying hard assets and assets that will produce.
Yeah. It just, you know, it's got to pass that fundamental test, right? Like, back, people used to do 1% rule, and then that went away for a while. Well, that's obviously coming back, and you know, maybe we can up that to a 2% rule. Who knows how crazy things get? But that'll be all stuff that we have to remain aware of. Like, can we find deals like that? And I think with more opportunity, like more properties on the market, you're going to have more opportunity to have sellers who are in a situation where they've got to sell, and there's a number that works for them that could really work for you as a buyer. And those are the deals that we as investors need to be keeping our eyes out for.
Yeah, we think we're seeing that right now.
Yeah.
But time will tell.
It's without question, if you have more properties sitting for longer, there are going to be people with personal situations that just, they can't wait. And those are opportunities, because you can do them a real solid by getting them out of the deal they need to get out of for a number that works for them, but it also really works for you.
Yeah, I'd just like to add to that. Some people will say we're bad people. Yeah. But the seller needs liquidity.
Yeah, no one forced them to sell it, right? You're making them an offer, and they have their right to refuse it. So, but if it works for them, they'll accept it.
Yeah. Like, would they prefer no liquidity?
Yeah.
Would they prefer the bank take it back? Oh, you want the bank to take the back of the property, but we're the bad guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the whole thing with the wholesaling thing, I always had I always felt a little bad for the sellers. I'm like, well, you're getting it for so much less, but some of them are perfectly happy with so much less. I don't agree with ever misleading them or anything like that. But I mean, if you're transparent with them and they say, hey, yeah, that works, I could do that. Yeah. Then you have a deal.
My experience is a lot of wholesalers just hate, a lot of those sellers just hate realtors. I don't blame them. So they refuse to work with a realtor. They're generally refusing the best exit possible.
Oh yeah, like the ones who take the wholesale deal, they take less money knowing it. Yeah. But I think a lot of them, it might not be a hate, but it's like, well, we just don't want people coming through here. We don't want to go through that. I think that's a big pain point for people. Oh, really? Like 3 months listed with people coming through here all the time? Like, I don't want to do that. Look at how messy this house is. You mean you'll just give me this number and we can be done with this? Okay. Yeah, I'm into that.
Yeah, they don't know what I can do, though.
Yeah, they haven't called Erwin yet.
They haven't. No, they seriously haven't. Because we can help them a lot better than anybody else can.
Yeah, and no doubt, there's always other opportunities, other ways to proceed. And you're right, they probably don't know.
Excellent. So we talked about 1-2%. So that actually leads me to more aggressive strategies like short-term rental. So that kind of brings us to what's the campground called?
So the campground is Maple Ridge Family Camp, and that's in Miller Lake, Ontario, about 20 minutes south of Tobermory.
And Tobermory is beautiful.
Yeah, and I've spent a lot of time up there. So my mother-in-law has a cottage just north of Sauble. So we would go up to Tobermory as like a little day trip, and we would go to Lion's Head and the Grotto, which are all within a 40-minute drive of where we were. And so when this opportunity came up, where we're like 20 minutes between all those places, I'm like, wow, this is pretty much the most central you could be on the Bruce Peninsula, in the middle of all the things people want to go see. And we knew Airbnb was a big thing. Like there were cottages up in Sauble getting like $1,200 a night on like weekends and high season during the lockdowns. So knowing that, I wanted to get into Airbnb, but I wanted to do it in a way that I could scale. Like there was actually a possibility of generating $1 million in revenue. And when the campground came up, initially I was hesitant. But I did see that the opportunity to scale was there. So what we did is we actually came in. We had a bunch of seasonals, 25 seasonal renters that had trailers on the site. And
just to slow it down. They rented the spot.
Yeah,
so they pay for parking.
They basically pay for parking and utilities, so to speak. Yeah, so they have a connection. Yeah, 14 of our 25 had sanitary connection. But get this, the owner was actually pumping out the tanks of the other 11. So they had like a tank on the ground that held like 300 gallons of sewage, and he would come around with his little honey wagon on the back of his lawnmower, and he would pump them out and put them into the main sanitary drain. So we obviously looked at this. We're like, there's just no way. Like that's not happening. And so we had to give the rough news to the existing tenants. They their contract didn't get renewed, so the previous owner didn't renew them specifically at our request because we didn't know exactly what we were going to do. But we ultimately gave them the news that we're not renewing, and we asked them to leave, so to speak. It was unfortunate, and obviously it was news that they didn't want, but they were paying less than $2,000 per site per year. And those numbers were so far from making any sense at all. We just couldn't keep that. It just wouldn't work. So, that finally did all unfold. We got everybody off sort of, mid-May. And then we were renovating. We bought some trailers. Some of the people leaving just said, hey, you can buy our trailer. We were able to make use of one of those in our glamping facility.
Well, and then how many did you buy and how many were of use?
We probably bought like 5.
Damn.
5 from people leaving, and out of those, like some of them will make good employee accommodations for next year, but they were not at the caliber that we would have needed to rent out on Airbnb. So what we did to start is we went in with glamping tents. So we had platforms built. We put 230 square foot tents with queen size beds in them. And we had our management team deck them out. And Pauline has great vision. She could moonlight as a designer. I guess she sort of does with us. And she decorated them and made it all work. And we got those listed at the end of June. We were full for July on those. Renting around $200 a night. And and we've added to that.
Okay, let's take a pause there. A hotel, like a
tent,
like a motel doesn't even get $200 a night.
But in that area they would. A nice one. Okay, but these are like an experience. Like people want to go there to like Instagram shot. Like we'll have people like go do yoga poses and post reels and tag us. There are people who want an experience. So even going into the fall now, as weather gets cold, we figured our trailers would start booking up more because they have heat. And no, people are still booking the tents. Even into October, people are booking the tents. I'm like, do you know how cold it gets to camp in October?
But you're heated.
Not the tents.
Oh, what's heated? Sorry?
The trailers are heated.
Oh, okay, okay.
We've got, right now, I think we have 4 or 5 trailers for rent on Airbnb. And they do have heat sources. But
the tents are not heated.
Tents are not. But you got extra blankets. It's still really cool. But, camping in October, you got to be ready for that. So, that's sort of how that progressed. And, the hardest thing has been manpower. We've spent a lot of time making the site look better, cleaner, getting rid of extra brush, prepping sites, merging sites. There might have been 2 sites that were really small. We merged them together. And our tent glamping is phenomenal. Like the sites are completely treed in. Just check out our Insta for anybody watching or listening at the Grotto Getaway Glamp, and see how nice these tent sites are. So it's a combination of being so secluded and then having a really unique experience has done well for us. Plus our location is right in the middle of all these prime things that people want to go to. Mm-hmm. So that part's worked out really well. We had a good solid year, but we started late. So we're looking forward to next year having a proper run up. We'll be advertising through the winter. We'll be looking forward to having people tenting with us in May. Whereas this year we didn't have any glamping rentals pretty much until the last week of June. And that was very minimal. Yeah, it's been a roller coaster, but we're finding our bearings. Like it was just such a learning experience, so much to know. But you look at it,
it's a full-on business.
It's a full-on business,
especially while you're getting it up.
Yeah. So we still have the traditional camping part, but then our focus is in growing the glamping, because traditional camping, you get a lot of people who are just looking for a cheap place to stay. Yeah. It's cheaper than a hotel.
It's the cheapest thing.
It's the cheapest thing you can do. Yeah. That doesn't really fit that well with our clientele. I'd say with our camp, our prime clientele is families who want to go for an experience. But the reputation of the site over previous years was a good place to go to do group camping for parties, and that is just in complete opposition to families, and they don't mix well. It's like oil and water. So what we're transitioning away from is the group camping. We don't really want that on our site because it just attracts people who want to get a bunch of friends together, drink, make noise. And these are things we had to learn. We thought, hey, group camping, that's kind of cool. People tent on a bigger site. No, that's not so great for us. But we have wild campsites that are secluded for people who want to do the traditional camping. And then we have a lot of pull-through RV sites, so people can come in, stay for a few days. We have a sewage dump area, so when they leave.
Wait, does anyone on the team have experience running a campground?
No, but I mean, Zach.
You're all learning on the fly.
So Zach, in our ownership group, he his family, they do RVing. So he kind of had some perspective with that.
Okay. As a consumer.
Yeah.
Shout out to Zach.
But yeah, shout out to Zach.
Not that he's listening.
Yeah, he's not listening.
He's enjoying his vacation wherever he is.
Yeah, Zach's been traveling the world for the last 8 months. But our management team does. So our management team have been managing trailer parks and campgrounds for, I think 20 years. So
okay. You're not flying blind.
No, they've been huge. And then we've empowered them to hire as they see fit. Mm-hmm. And then we've also brought in help where needed. But next year, a big change will be we're actually going to be providing guest or employee accommodations and bringing people in from out of town, because it's hard to find people in that area because every available unit isn't for rent. Everyone's Airbnb-ing everything up there. So it's actually hard to find employees.
Sorry, when you said employee accommodations originally, I thought you meant your own, but you're going to be accommodating. You're kind of like a motel. For
yeah, exactly. So we're going to give employees a trailer to stay in, so that they'll still use our main showers, but they can use the trailer to stay in, cook, do all that stuff, and that'll allow us to bring people in who want an experience. We can get people. And once we do that, we have just unlimited opportunity with things like workaway.com, and get people who want to travel and go to a cool place and work. We'll be able to accommodate them and hopefully get a little bit more help for next year.
You guys provide internet?
We have internet. We have internet at the clubhouse, so they wouldn't have it in their trailer, but they would have it. We have really good cell phone signal on our site.
Oh, good. So people can.
Yeah, you can use your. I have 50 gigabytes with Bell, so I mean, I'm sure people have good cell phone package can just use that.
I hope none of our staff are listening to this. Just let's blur out their Zoom background and you're at Andrews, aren't you?
Yeah.
So what has are all these campsites are they all great? Like you mentioned trailer, you mentioned tent, you mentioned just out in the woods campsite. They're all great. There's no preference.
No, there's better and worse ones. I don't love our pull through trailer stuff. I mean, I think it's functionally good. I just don't think it looks that good. So we've talked about things we can do, and maybe we shut down because we have I think we have 20 of them in a row. Shut down 10 of them for everything except for the long weekends, and that way people can't book two side by side. And now we can set up a picnic table in between. So we're always looking at how can we make this cater to families better, give people a better experience, and repel those who just want a cheap place to stay or want to come party. Because that's just not, I'm sure there are campgrounds out there who cater to that, but it's just not what we want to cater to.
Right. It seems to be a general thing. Like, for example, we were just at Shirkton Shore not that long ago, and like they're trying to clamp down on numbers. Like, for example, limiting how many overnight guests you're allowed.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a problem everywhere.
Yeah. If you're in this hospitality thing, Airbnb or camps, volume hurts you. Like getting a lot of people in, like it just creates logistical and operational like problems. So it's actually much better to try and focus on people who want an experience value. At least in my perspective, it is. And we're looking forward to transitioning more that way.
That's exciting. That's pretty cool, because I think a lot of people are looking at these opportunities.
Yeah, not a simple simple project to take on, but we've got a good diverse amount of experience with our ownership group, and it's come really well into play. And then I've certainly learned a lot about delegating, even better than I was. Like I was already decent at delegating some things, and now this year has forced me to be that much better. And I'm really actually happy to see how well it's worked.
How many people are on the management team or the ownership
team? So we have
team?
two main managers. We have two more employees that are working sort of semi full-time hours right now. And we have a bookkeeper that actually is working out of the Philippines. He's a CPA, so he's busy. Like there's a lot of work to do on these books, a lot of transactions. And then of course my assistant, she's helping out on this. And then our ownership group is there's four of us, and we all sort of handle different things. I've sort of handle general oversight specifically of the accounting and bookkeeping, and the management team, and then the other guys help handle acquisitions, certain operational problems, all oversight. None of us are full-time on this. None of us are hands on site, although we have had Mike goes up or Jake goes up, and they'll spend a day or two on the site, dealing with management, helping out a little bit, things like that, just to integrate, make sure that we're hearing them. And then we do a weekly Tuesday meeting where we go over what's happening, how the weekend go, what do you need from us, which direction do we want to go, what do we need to be thinking about for next year, how do we adjust our marketing or our positioning in terms of who we're attracting. So and a lot of these that came out of necessity, because we weren't doing that originally. Like we'd do a management team or an ownership meeting, but we wouldn't do a management meeting, and we really started to see there was a breakdown of communication. So doing that weekly meeting has been huge for us, and just now we're on the same page, and they take care of everything for us. They run our sales on site. I just check the bank account and I see the sales coming in. It's fun. July and August with the campground is fun. Like all the Airbnb payments rolling in, watching the account grow, and then you got to be prepared for the off season when it doesn't.
Any plans for what the winter? Are you?
Well, by the bylaw, we are not allowed to have stays for more than 7 out of 10 months, which is a weird way of putting it. So basically,
7 out of 10 months you can't operate?
Yeah, you can't. So that's like 8.5 out of 12 months we're allowed to operate. So we'll be shutting down for the winter. We'll be back open. We'll be starting operations again in April. And yeah, it's weird. Why would they say 7 out of 10? Why wouldn't they say it out of 12? But
I've heard it with other recreational places. For example, like Friday. What's the place in Innisfil? Jeez, I'm terrible. Anyways, they have to close down for 1 month because the policy there is if you're open 12 months, people live there, so you need to invest in hospitals and schools. Yeah, okay. Right? But that's 11 of 12 months they're allowed to open. Yeah. You're really restricted. Yeah, I mean, but if I interpret 7 out of 10, that's, like I said, it's like 8.5 out of 12, whatever. But we could, long-term look at, and we're thinking out loud, there's tons of land there. Is there potential for severance and development? Yes, I think there is. We haven't really explored that. So that's certainly on our mind. And then, maybe go and get a bylaw amendment or a minor variance to allow us to do something in the winter. Any skiing or snowmobile trails in the area? Tons of snowmobile trails right in the area. That'd be money. Yeah. So we are allowed, we can go in, do a site plan control and actually start building more structures on the site. We can go get an amendment to the bylaw that'll allow us to maybe we, put a little cross-country ski facility there, or, offer winter stays for
for people who want to do that kind of thing, snowmobiling and what have you. These are potentials. I don't know if that'd be pushing my business downhill, which I would prefer to do. So yes, that's possibilities. We haven't gone there yet. Haven't felt we needed to. I want to stabilize what we do in the summer before we start thinking too much about that. Yeah.
Specialize the summer.
Yeah.
And then where are you going to grow the summer part? Is it more trailers, more tents?
Yeah, we're going to keep acquiring more units. So the tents did really well. We have 3 more that we didn't even set up this year. So we'll be setting up the remainder of those. We'll be acquiring more trailers. The big thing for us has been finding trailers, just Kijiji Marketplace. And hopefully they're mostly renovated on the inside, don't need too much. And, if we need to paint the outside, give it a theme, decorate it, we'll hire a designer to help us make it really cool. And we want to focus on the memorable, whatever that might look like, but something super unique where people are going to Instagram it. They're going to say, wow, look what I stayed in. Like, I'll never forget this experience, right? It's not a hotel room. It's something that they'll remember.
That's pretty cool. Mm-hmm. Are you organizing any real estate investor?
I was thinking about that. We don't really have the space as of right now inside. We have lots of outdoor space.
But even just to coordinate these
50
spots or reserved,
we're gonna do it. Yeah, so that's something that we could definitely consider. I was thinking about that. We just never got to it this year. But as we scale up and get this next year in the works, there's so many places. That's the nice thing about it. It's just like endless opportunities to add value. We have 90 acres. Some of that is like marshland, but we've still got tons of space, tons of sites where we can convert them into glamping, where a single tent site can generate $45 a night, whereas a glamping tent could do $200 plus, $250. I mean, we may increase our prices even more for next year just based on the demand we had this year. So just thinking in terms of an operational strain on our septic facility, on our well, on our management team, we'd prefer to focus on the value experience where people are paying more, getting an experience, and then, we can give our management a break. Yeah. They'll come back, and we don't need to drive, 1,000 people through the site a day. We can do much less than that and, keep our sanity, get really good reviews, and grow the business more organically that way.
Are you doing anything to drive traffic on Airbnb or just let Airbnb do it?
We've done really well with our Instagram, like our Instagram page. We did a partnership with Explore Ontario and got
that's government, right? Tourism. It's a tourism.
It's a tourism website. I'm not sure if it's government, but I think we paid them like $500 for a partnership sponsorship.
Sounds cheap.
And they promoted it. We had 16,000 comments on the post. We got so many bookings. I'm sure we got between 25 and 50 bookings out of that, because they can't directly trace them. People go to Airbnb and book, but it was well worth it. We did it again with the Airstream, got a bunch of bookings on that. Those promotions were very, very lucrative for us.
Sounds good, like good return.
We've got our Google AdWords, working away for us for the campground. That's been, steady, and not that we're spending a ton, but we're getting very targeted, people wanting to camp in our area, and we know that that's ideal, but there's so much more we can do from a marketing standpoint.
I should have asked this earlier. Is it all on Airbnb, or is it?
So, we're on Airbnb, we're on booking.com, and our preference is obviously to people to book direct at grottogetaway.com. And they can see all our listings there and book. And we're going to have, for this upcoming season, we're going to have our new launchings coming out first on our website. So yes, they will be available on Airbnb, but we're going to do like special promos where people can book early through our website, because we want to start, doing more that way, because obviously there are certain, limitations to working with Airbnb, and it's very expensive. But Airbnb has been good. I'm pretty sure we'll have our Superhost by March 1st, I think, or October 1st. And I think we have last time I checked, 130 reviews.
Wow.
And we didn't even have renters until end of June.
Crazy.
Yeah. So it's been an interesting process. Tons to learn. A little bit more intense than, passive real estate, but
this is not passive at all.
No, it can be made more passive by having good teams, though.
Can you share some numbers? Like acquisition costs? Is this a 1-2% property?
We're $1.5 million to acquire, and As far as revenue goes,
That sounds cheap to a lot of people to buy 980.
yeah. See, like, revenue targets. Like, I don't know how much I should say right now, but just out of respect for my partners, but we did well. We didn't do as well as we wanted to this year, but it's a startup year, and treating it as a new business. So we're confident with a full season next year, it's gonna be a profitable year.
Right.
And
I'm guessing it wasn't as well because you were delayed.
The delay hurt us the most, right? And like, if you think about Airbnb, you need photos, right? And you don't want photos with trees with no leaves. So you need trees with leaves and, tents and trailers. Some of those things where it was just like, when's the ideal time to buy a campground if you're going to do this? There is no ideal time. Like, no matter what, like, are you going to buy it mid-season? No one's going to sell you a campground mid-season because that's when they're making all their money.
Price.
Yeah.
You're going to pay peak price for it too.
Peak price, and they're making all their money. They want to wait until October until they've milked every last cent out of that campground. Then they want to sell it, which is exactly what the owner who sold it to us did. Smart. Hey, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
This is capitalism.
But knowing that, like, we did our best, but I mean, you don't really get leaves on the trees until mid-May anyway. We should have been ready to take photos then. It just didn't work out that way. We didn't have enough help. So we're kind of acknowledging these things, seeing what we needed to change, and next year we'll be ready.
All right, Andrew, we're way over time, but you are a wealth of information, so I apologize.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I have no idea what time it is, but yeah, it's been fun.
We're way over time for this, and then we'll get into Cherry's YouTube after this.
Yeah.
Final thoughts, just general
thoughts on the market, on investing.
Anything.
Yeah.
Anything.
Interesting times. I think, like, people who are thinking about getting started. I don't know how much of your audience that is, but never been more important than to focus on the fundamentals. It was always important, but now I think people are really starting to internalize how important that is. You can't expect your property to go up in value. In fact, why not invest with the expectation your property is going to go down in value and still be all right with that? Maybe you can start looking for cash flow plays where you don't care if it goes down $100,000. It's all relative to what you pay. But you can still invest here. I still believe Ontario is a place you can invest, and becoming more and more lucrative by the day. But someone like me to go to Florida, I don't think that that's for everybody. I really don't. I think that you have to have a certain skill set, certain experience, and you got to be very diligent. And I was prepared for that, but I don't think new investors necessarily would be. Right. I agree with you. Saying invest closer to home when you're starting. Yeah. Down the road, you can look at something like that. More seasoned investors, I know tons of them reaching out to me wanting to do it, and they're probably ready, but not everybody is. Because
we're finding property we can buy for less than build costs. So that's a pretty good
and that's going to become more and more common. And I've always said, buy for less than cost of replacement, because they're not making any more land, and if you can't build it for that price, the long-term outlook on that property is probably pretty good.
And labor and construction is scarce as well. So.
It is. Like, it's not getting cheaper to build things right now. Yeah. And will it, if demand comes down enough? Yes. Yeah. But where we're at right now, I think that's a great strategy. Buy for less than cost of replacement is a good strategy right now. Doesn't mean that's perfect. Doesn't mean every property that fits that bill is going to be a good one, but it's probably a good starting point. Yeah.
Not one rule. No one rule is perfect.
And not for everybody. Even if it's perfect for one, it's not perfect for all.
Like, you might want 1-2% rule, but you're gonna go buy a campground like Andrew.
Yeah, that was a different play. That was real estate adjacent, as a business with real estate component. Which the big thing was owning land. I wanted to own a lot of land, and it checked that box. And we're getting it to a point where it'll satisfy cash requirement too, and that'd be a great way of hanging on to a bunch of land.
I had the dumbest question for you.
Sure.
I was going to ask, can you hunt on the land, on the campground?
No, I don't think
you don't do that.
I don't think that it's allowed, but I know that there's a lot of hunting out that way. It's a very much a hunting culture. Especially in like the surrounding Sauble area. I would assume this area too.
Because I'm just thinking, like, if hell goes a handbasket, you need to live somewhere. You can live off the land. But you can live off the land easier than I can live off the land.
So live off the land, grow some food. Yeah,
among your animal friends, you don't have to hurt them.
Yeah, like, have some chickens, maybe eat the eggs. I eat vegan, but like, if it ever came to it, I would, but I don't feel like I need to, so I don't.
We're just crazy because you're a big guy. All right, Andrew, thanks so much for doing this.
Yeah, thank
Hope
you.
you had fun. I know
Yeah,
you're a
it's great.
professional podcaster.
Yeah, this is such a cool setup, man. It's cool. I'm looking forward to having you back on my podcast, and we'll dig into what you're doing.
Can't wait.
Thank you for watching. If you want to learn how to invest in real estate from scratch, my team teaches beginners how to use the #1 investment strategy that I personally use in a virtual free training class every month. Go to investortraining.ca/YouTube to register for our next class. The link is also in the description as well. I publish at least 2 to 3 videos a week here, so subscribe if you want to keep learning from seasoned investors like myself and my guests. And if you're just starting out, feel free to ask questions and comment below, and I do the best to answer each of those comments and questions myself. Again, if you're ready to learn the nitty-gritty about real estate investing from a professional investor, register for our next virtual class. That's at investortraining.ca/YouTube. Thanks again for watching. See you in the next video.